Guess who's coming to sauna? Hekilunta. Guess who's coming to sauna? Hekilunta.
Hi all, my name is Eero Kilpi or Eero Kilpi. I am the president of North American Sauna Society, and with me there is, at least I see, Risto.
Hi, I'm Risto.
And I'm Sam Wacha. Today we're going to be talking with Eero and find out a little bit more about his background and how he got started with sauna and a little bit about how he is going to continue sauna here in North America.
Great, yes. Yeah, no, well, this is obviously, it's a long story considering I'm 64 years old. So I can guarantee you, I would be probably exaggerating if I would say that I've been sauna bathing for 64 years, but I'm for sure have been sauna bathing for 63 years. So I do have a little bit of a background with the sauna. And actually, the first memories of sauna that I have are from early 1960s. Our family used to live in a city called Turku, Turku, which is on the southwestern part of Finland. And we were living in a very fancy residential building there next to the Turku Art Museum. And we had a backyard. At the backyard there was a sauna, and I remember vividly. Maybe the first memories were I was 2 or 3 years old, where we used to go. We had like a time slot, we had a shift, and I can't remember when that was, but maybe it was a Saturday. So we went, every Saturday to sauna bathe there, and also not only that, but we had a summer place on further west. We used to live in after we lived in Turku, we moved to Helsinki, which is the capital, but we always had a place a summer place in a place called Kustavi, and actually, not as true Finns, but we didn't build the sauna first, so we actually built the cottage and then a sauna, and I believe we are clocking like year 1965 when the best sauna of my life was built. It's unfortunately it's not there anymore, but your own sauna is always the best, and that was the case. So that was the early start of my sauna bathing. Should I go on telling about these stories, or you want to ask something?
Well, so you said you started young. Did you was it with family members? How many siblings were sauning? How'd that work as a Finnish family? The idea of sauning young is pretty foreign for most North Americans.
That was definitely, and that's a good question. That was definitely our whole family. So I'm the third son. We were four sons, 4 siblings, and my mom and dad. And at that point, there were 3 of us. And this definitely was the whole family sauna bathing together. And I think that was maybe a Saturday or a Friday. I'm not sure about that. But that's how it starts, and you sauna bathe together with the family all the way to when you hit puberty, then it changes, then there's the ladies go together and the gentlemen go together, and so it's not like we don't have in Finland, unlike maybe, I'm not sure about this, but unlike maybe in Germany, there's a different thing going on, but in our case, it really is, it's not a all in a sauna at the same time, because which actually the reasons really unknown to me basically, but we preferred nudity over getting together the whole family. So it's just like, we didn't use bathing suits back in the day that much, but I guess it's a little different now.
So then, Eero, if I can ask, growing up, let's say, in Finland, you're in, late middle school, early high school, you're 15, 16, 17 years old. Was it pretty common for maybe like a group of buddies to be like, hey guys, come on over, we're gonna sauna after school, or hey, maybe after a sporting event, or tell me a little bit about more like the that social aspect of it.
That's definitely took place. That definitely did take place. And talking about middle school, high school, we started. I don't know if that was the 70s, so it was a little different thing than today. But we used to have a lot of parties at our friends, because one reason for this sauna craze overseas in Finland is because it was like customary that, I'm exaggerating, but almost all people had like second homes, summer places, and they were not fancy. They were cottages, but when there was a cottage, there was also a sauna somewhere. So we went during the weekends when the parents were not there. We went to party at these summer places, and so sauna bathing was definitely one part of the enjoyment. It was always there somewhere, and also not only that, but when I started my working life in the 80s, and I had again a residential, like a basement kind of a sauna, in where I used to live, and my neighbors were not that happy about it, but there was basically a line of guys Fridays. It's just like, before we went to partying, it's like from 6 to 8. There was maybe 10 guys going together, sauna bathing, and just like, taking it easy and discussing the week and so forth. So you had maybe a couple of adult beverages, and you got to clean up your sauna bath well, and then well, depending on people, some people went partying, some people went home, but yeah, that really is the social aspect is very important part of the sauna bathing tradition back home, whether it's with your family or with your buddies, and not necessarily the combination of, but always something. I used to go when I was way younger. I used to go sauna bathing with my buddies, fathers. They invited us to sauna bathe together. So that was really part of it.
Sure. Yeah. I growing up, I had a roommate, once we were in college, and him and I would go to the gym and use sauna together. But I would say, I would probably equate closer to probably a lot of kids growing up in at least in North America. Maybe it's similar to like a hot tub, where, hey, we're going to go spend the night at Billy's cabin, and he's got a cool hot tub, and we're all going to jump in there and party and whatnot. But I could definitely see where you could easily substitute, that hot tub for a sauna, for whatever, for a cold plunge, for, you name it. So I think it's just, it's seeing what the norms are and what your cultural traditions are. It's interesting.
Yeah, and it the kind of a thing is that you can almost compare. It's not that we would have the money back in the day to go, to pubs and places like that too often, but it's like, there's, in a way, the sauna kind of replaced that thing, because it's like, if it's a beautiful, obviously it's Finland is high up north, so the winters are long and dark, but when you heat up the sauna, it can last. The actual process with all the pauses and the relaxation, it can last like 4 or 5 hours. You can go on doing that thing. So it really is. It was probably the most elemental, the elemental part of the whole like get together was somehow the sauna. Not that we regarded that as such, but it was very important.
So I'd be curious to know, since I didn't have this experience of being a kid in the sauna, I'm kind of jealous of my kids, who are growing up with it. But what was that like growing up with it? Like our kids whined a lot when they were really young, and we'd have to like come up with like rules for them, like how did your parents kind of guide you through that process? What kind of rules did they have? Did they make you sauna?
I would say that they almost made us do sauna. I think that was not that was not something to discuss per se, and there was also, back in the day, there was the cleanliness part. It's just like, you didn't, we didn't have at our cottage till I don't know, 80s, 90s. We didn't have running water. That was not the idea. It was supposed to be a cottage, so it was supposed to be like back to basics kind of a thing. So even more, it was important that at least once a week, kids were, we washed our hairs, and we were washed thoroughly, and that was part of it. So it was yeah, no, it was really, something that you like having a dinner. It was something that, you didn't discuss that at all. It was just a matter of fact that on Saturday afternoon there was going to be sauna, and everybody was supposed to go to sauna. Not that nobody would have said no. It's not that, it's like you have a good meal, you don't, and you're hungry. So it's like you sort of learn to expect that, and it's kind of interesting. And one thing is I haven't mentioned yet, but so in the older age, I would say that I used to heat up the sauna like every second evening or something like that when I was at the summer place. A Friday or a Saturday sauna was given. So there was on probably even both on Friday and on Saturday you had sauna, but then like sauna during the week was kind of optional. But that was the frequency of it, and obviously something that people don't often maybe realize here, but obviously you don't eat before sauna, you eat after sauna. So and then you have that feeling, you feel great, you've sauna bathed for 2 or 3 hours, you've been into the cold plunge means, going to the water, because back home waters are pretty cold. So it's, you don't need a designated cold plunge because your water, it will be cold, so it's just like you get the whole, the thermotherapy kind of a contrast, thing given. But anyway, so it's the food tasted so much better after the sauna. So it was really an essential part of everything we did.
Absolutely. So then, later on, you said, you started working, you've got maybe a family of your own at this point. Yeah. How did you introduce, your loved ones, to sauna that may have not known about it, or maybe they weren't as avid?
That is also a very good question. So yes, so for one thing, we had that at that point we still had the summer place. My dad passed away at some point, my mom even before that, unfortunately, but we had the summer place. So the second home sauna was given, and that was an active part, and obviously a wood burning one, at that point. We bought our first, I was renting the place where I told my buddies used to come to, on Fridays, when I had that designated time slot. We bought our first apartment, our own, on 1989, and that also had this residential, building sauna on like a rooftop kind of a thing, and that was, I'm being super lucky. So that was also on a Friday. My time slot was on a Friday after work. So I would say that first we had a son, and then 3 years later we were blessed with a daughter, and I would say that I went there if there were no obligations, work-related obligations. I would go there every Friday. That was how my weekend started, in that sauna. My wife and later my daughter would join me maybe every third session. My son was not that lucky because I dragged him with me almost every Friday. So he had this little, like, this kiddie pool kind of a thing, this plastic thing, and I filled that with water, and I dragged that little the baby thing into the sauna room, obviously far enough from the heater so he would not get burned. But so his first experience with sauna was playing in the water inside the hot sauna room, and then slowly but surely coming up to the benches and taking it from there. And I don't think that there are really exceptions. My son is now he's 32 years old, and he loves his sauna like I do. So it really is. It's an important part of his life.
And what did I'd be curious to hear, especially at the cottage or the cabin, and you mentioned sauna bathing a few times. What is that process like? I think, for a lot of people we don't understand what that is. Like, when do you do the bathing part? Is it right away? Is it a few rounds in? What's the flow of that?
So yeah, no, it's a long, and it's supposed to be a slow process. So that's the whole idea. It's you don't hurry anything when you do that thing, and it starts from chopping wood. That's where it starts from. Either you have your wood readily chopped, or you're gonna do it right there, and then then you have to actually carry water inside the sauna room, fill up the water heater, and then all the you don't use seawater to your heater, so you have to bring that water from somewhere else that you actually going to throw on the rocks, because you're going to kill the heater pretty fast if you throw salty water in there. But so you bring in the water, you chop the wood, you put the sauna, you put the fire on, and you heat up. It's the process that normally took us, somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. Then the sauna is ready, and then depending on who's going to sauna bathe, there are either 2 rounds. Normally, I don't know why, but quite often, the ladies go first, and then after that, or there's some couples who go first, and then other couples go later, or depending on who's going to be there, and you don't really like if you talk about soaping yourself and stuff and washing your hair, that what you do like at the very like latest round, and that could be the 3rd or the 4th round, even maybe the 5th, depending on how things go. But basically first you just first couple of rounds you just go, and then if it's the summertime, then the water is, even though cold in Northern Europe, but it's still warm enough, so you can actually swim. So you don't have to, you don't just dip yourself in, to actually, swim around and then relax, have something to drink, and go back in. And again, you finalize the process of depending on the sauna, you wash yourself, you wash your hair, and then you just after you're done, you just put a robe on or your towel, and you're ready to do whatever you're about to do.
And so you're washing in the hot room?
Yes, back in the day that was the norm. Back in the day that was the norm.
So you maybe have buckets of water, and then you just soap up and then wash in the hot room? Yes.
So you have we used to have these couple of containers, big containers of cold water, and that was from the sea. And then you have also from the sea, you have the water heater. So you actually put 2 fires on, the sauna and the water heater. So you had hot water, and that's what we used to do. But again, depending on how things were, and nowadays when you don't wash yourself in this hot sauna room anymore, so you don't have that hot water heater, or it's sometimes it is attached to the actual the sauna heater. But that was part. It was not anymore like when I was growing up. The hygiene was very important, like way back in the day. It was not that important anymore when I was, because you had other means of cleaning yourself, but it still was part of the ritual. It was part of the ritual, and you just not nowadays you are more conscious about the the environment. But I back in the day, I guess I shouldn't be saying this out loud, but I used to wash myself in the sea. So it's just like you just bring the soap and you jump in and you clean yourself.
Absolutely. I remember the first time that I actually had official sauna bathing. I'd always been a sauna user, but I remember being way up north and I was hunting with a friend and we were at his hunting lodge, no power, no running water. It sounds similar to your family's cottage, but yeah, we had a sauna out there and it was really pretty rudimentary. It had a sloped, basically a sloped floor. So you could, just pour water over your head and it would kind of make its way over to a drain / hole. And it was wonderful because without that, we would have been just taking a bottle of water and a bar of soap and washing up outside, but you're in a nice warm environment and you could just use as much warm water as you wanted. I remember the first time I did that, and I won't, when I'm camping now, I'll build a makeshift sauna so I can shower, clean up now.
No, yeah, that's absolutely what it is, and hence I do understand that many people, because of maybe financial constraints or because the saunas are built in basements, they don't have a drain. But the way I've learned to sauna bathe, it's like I couldn't live without it, because that's so ingrained in me, that idea of using a lot of water in the actual sauna room, and also like tossing water around when you're done. So it's like a lazy man's cleaning process. It's you just water the benches and you're done with that thing. But yeah, and also one thing I think I've mentioned also before at our discussions, but it's not only that part of sauna, it's part of your personal life. But it used to be, and I don't know if it's totally good thing or what it is, but it's like sauna used to play an important role in your business life as well. So I'm being very unfortunate in many different ways, but my father was working for an organization that had like a top-notch penthouse sauna at the heart of Helsinki. And that was also like, that was very important. My dad used to, if he had guests that left early, he used to give us a call that that I'm here, the table has been set, the sauna hot room is hot, the swimming pool is doing fine, so why don't you get your butts over here ASAP? And off we went. So that was also part of it. So it's like it's I guess more than ever, and it's very probably difficult for people who don't understand that part of sauna. But it really is, you enjoy your life to the fullest. It again, it's very difficult to try to explain why it's not only that, like that health inducing process, but it is like something that is at the core of whatever you do. Is there's always a sauna looming there somewhere.
So he wasn't calling you up and saying, hey, you need to get your heat shock proteins, get over here.
Correct. Yeah.
The proteins were sausage. Those
my dear dad died at the age of 75, not knowing about heat shock proteins, but he was a keen sauna bather. He would have his, and I know that I'm going like too far here, but he liked his sauna and he liked his whiskey soda. So that in his case, they went very well together.
Oh, absolutely. That's a match made in heaven. So,
but that,
Eero, so at some point here, then you came to America and you are trying to spread sauna here. Why not bicycles? Why not cars? Why not guitars?
That's a good question. I've done my share with guitars, so I've sold hundreds of guitars in this country. So but cars I know nothing about. Excellent question. Now, so I was dragged in early 2000s. I was dragged in, and Kalevi Ruska and Keith Räisänen with Tyler Hilo. They were thinking about starting an organization called the North American Sauna Society. And since I knew Kalevi quite well, he asked me whether I would want to join the organization and why. The question is why? Because that was so clearly something that the sauna was understood in a totally different way in this country as it was understood back home. So it's kind of a lazy man's decision in a way, even though we still have a lot of obstacles, on our way still. But it's kind of an easy man's solution because you could see that something was not the way you thought things would be. I'm the first person to say that I'm not pushing anything Finnish, like Finnish style anything, but I've learned to understand during my 63 years of sauna bathing that the Finnish way of doing it is extremely fulfilling. And you would think that if people would get an understanding of what it is, and with the health benefits, it's just a deal made in heaven, because it's all the cardiovascular issues people have and whatnot. It's just like, and you get that quote unquote for free. The only thing you have to do is sauna bathe, and it's not something you have to do. That's what you want to do. So hence the North American Sauna Society.
Was it what were your expectations when you were coming over here of what sauna would be like here? Did you expect to find them? How did you expect they would be? And then how were they in comparison to those expectations?
I have been warned. I had been pre-warned that take it slow when you come to North America. That because I wasn't lucky. I used to travel here before we moved here 25 years ago. I was not, during my first trips before moving here, I was not lucky. Obviously, there are good saunas here too. That goes without saying. But the majority, if you talk about the stereotypical gym experience, hotel experience, that's just different. So it goes more to the infrared, kind of yeah, and there's nothing wrong with the infrared either, but just different. But that fulfilling, mentally soothing, that whole thing, it really was, in my mind, it was lacking. So there was something had been lost in translation, so to speak. And it's not easy, kind of, because we're not talking about the gadget. We're not talking about an appliance. We are talking about a lifestyle, and it's not, you can't get that lifestyle by installing something at the corner of your room in your house. You have to think about the whole thing that goes with it. So I it's been now, NASS is gonna turn 20 years old next year, and we have only touched surface. But what has happened though during these 20 years is that we do have, and I always say that, I repeat the same thing, there is this kind of a sauna movement now going on, and it's still, it's still only a few people, only a handful of people who are in that movement, but it's great. Every time people fight in social media about how they build their saunas, I'm happy. And I'm happy that I don't have to take part in that discussion, but I'm happy that it's happening, because these people are for real. If you just build a bad sauna, you don't have to argue about what makes that bad sauna. But if you think you have the real deal, then you have, then you are, trying to make people understand that you have the best deal. And as I said before, it's your own sauna is always the best, no matter what people say.
100% agree.
Mm.
I love what you said there, Eero, that it's a lifestyle. I think, we've talked about this before, and on other episodes or other presentations that we've been involved in, where we kind of call it an event, or we call it similar to what we were talking about earlier, a dinner party. There's courses, and there are etiquette, there's kind of an expectation, but I love that we're not selling, and I think that's probably one of the big barriers for a lot of people is we're not selling a feel better today solution. We're not, it's not a quick fix, it's not a cure all. It's something that may help you with a lot of things, but at the end of the day, are you going to give in to it fully, or are you going to kind of maybe not? I mean, I kind of equate it to, and I know we're talking about, health benefits, this and that, but what about general exercise? You can't just go jog 20 minutes down the street and come home and then say, yep, I got all my workout in for today. There's a lot more that goes into that. So I like that analogy, and just the way of thinking about sauna as more than just something. It's not a thing, it's an experience.
That's true. That's true. And that is exactly why it's so difficult to start. Not start, to continue spreading the word, because there's so many ingredients to it.
And so thinking about sauna as a practice, is that the whole picture, the whole thing? What's your favorite sauna in North America?
Yeah, well, that's a very, I've traveled around. I've seen quite many saunas, not obviously not enough, but I would come back to the what I told about that Helsinki thing, when I was renting and my buddies were waiting in line to get in sauna, and sauna bait together for a couple of hours before taking off. I'm actually doing almost the exact same. I'm now, like, I don't know, 40 years older or something, but my buddy in Stamford, Connecticut, which is about 25 minutes from here, I-95, depending on the traffic. He invites people over, and he's been great about, every couple of weeks, and we get together, and you don't know who's going to show up, and you don't basically care who's going to show up, because you will show up. and you just talk about everything, or you don't talk, but so that's I would say that at this point it is my favorite sauna in North America. I don't have my wife, my daughter was just she called me up from Helsinki, Finland, where she's been living for the past 5 years, and I've heard that people are laughing at me because I've been running the North American sauna at least a decade, and I actually don't own a sauna. And people are like, what's wrong with you? It's like, well, I'm eventually I will probably get my own, but before I started going to my buddy's sauna every couple of weeks, I did frequent, the banyas in New York City about more than a decade. So the banya people, they have the whole basic setup. They have it right. So you have you have the cold plunges. You have you can basically eat a 5-course meal there if you wanted to. As a Finn, I don't usually go that far, but I will spend a good 3-4 hours in a banya when I have a chance.
Excellent. And just for those that don't know, Eero, what's the biggest difference between sauna and banya?
I think the only real difference is the way you kind of the oven. The oven is totally different. It's like depending on the banya, it's like a brick walled big thing that you heat for 12 hours, and normally here in New York City with gas, and then you have these iron grate, these doors that you open, and they also steam. They throw water, but they throw it like way back into this huge, like rocky thing that they use. So it is like the sauna heater. The approach to sauna heater or sauna stove is totally different, but the heat is about the same. The humidity is about the same. So, and the benches are about the same. In my experience, which might be wrong, Finnish social open public saunas tend to be maybe sometimes a little bit smaller in size, because banyas can be huge.
Sure.
With tens and tens of people fitting inside. But yeah, but that's the basic difference. But they're used the same. So you spend some time in the hot room, you take a shower, you relax, you go back in, and you keep going back in and for some rounds. And yeah, so it's they all these traditions come together. Because I think it's all started pretty much the same as in North America with the sweat lodges, and so that like Finland or Northern Europe, it's the smoke sauna, and I took it from there. I don't know what happened, what was taking. Maybe you guys know what was like say in the Russian tradition before there must be smoke saunas that were, because these all need the banya needs the pipe.
Yeah, I think they call it the black banya.
Yeah, correct. That is true.
That I read in a book.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
And if you love sauna, that whole practice that Eero's described, chances are if you find a public banya, you're going to find something that you resonate with and that you really enjoy. Not so with public saunas, sadly, but thankfully the banyas are really good. The ones I've experienced.
That is true. I think
so,
that, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, one last question, Eero.
Yeah.
What for those listening, I'm sure somebody, maybe it's tickling in the back of their head, maybe they're thinking they want to help spread the sauna message. What should they do? How should they help out with the sauna, their local sauna community, or even with NASS? Should they get a hold of us?
Definitely so. Yes. So I've been dragging my feet, but we are thinking about starting this ambassadorship program, and it's unfortunately it's pro bono, as most of the work around sauna tend to be. But but we are looking for, basically we want to fill the whole country of the US and also Canada with like a representative of real sauna bathing practice in every state or territory, because it's like we can't change and we don't want to change. If you are happy with what you have, so be it. But but it's still, there seems to be that for the majority, they don't get the wholesome sauna bathing practice experience, and it's not an easy thing. It's not, if there would be a magic wand somewhere that you could swipe through the air and the thing would change. But the good thing is that the benefits are so incredible that it's a worthy fight to try to make people understand what they're missing. So anyway, so yeah, please contact NASS Sauna Society at gmail.com, and if you want to volunteer, there's a plenty of work to be done, and we are, even though after 20 years we're still making the baby steps here, but again, the reward is waiting, and as you gentlemen might recall, our last recording session, we were talking about this, that how should we spread the word, or what should we be doing? And this one of the answers, where I think was so great, one of the answers was that I love my sauna and I don't really care if other people don't understand it, but I'm going to be sauna bathing like crazy. And that's kind of a good sauna kind of a, not that NASS would be about that, we are about to spread the word, but I think that's kind of a price right there, that you guys do whatever you please, but I'm sauna bathing myself for real.
Absolutely. And I will defend my homemade sauna and all of its flaws till the day I die.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. It was nice to talk about my sauna bathing history, and I hope that it's going to be continuing as long as possible. It's been going on for 63. It's not going to go for another 63 years. I know that much, but we'll see. Hopefully I'm going to be. It's not one of those things that you have to stop when you grow old. On the contrary.
And the three of us have never been on the bench together. I don't think either of us is.
We need to get that rolling here. So I know we've talked about the Sauna Congress next year. Maybe we can head out that way, but I think before then too, I think we make a little round. Maybe we'll go meet in Chicago. That'd be an easy flight for a lot of us. Otherwise, like Eero said, his buddy in Connecticut never really knows who's going to show up. So, I mean,
there you go. There you go. Yeah, no, you for sure you guys would be invited. I can't speak for him, but I'm sure that he would let you guys in to do some serious sauna bathing.
Absolutely. And you guys come on down to South Carolina. I'm pretty sure I have one of the few 6x9 wood burning saunas in the state.
Thanks, guys. I will definitely going to follow that that invite. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eero. You have a good one.
You too.